Good afternoon. I am Maria Salzano. I was a teacher for 20 years in a primary school, and I was part of the improvement group and then of the NIV of my school. Now I am a PhD student at the University of Salerno, and I am working on educational effectiveness to keep schools operational to improvement, and I am a head teacher. Following the introduction of the national assessment system, it became compulsory for schools from academic year 2015-16 to draw up strategic documents such as the self-assessment report, RIV, the improvement plan, PDM, the educational offer plan, PTOF, and the social report. These triennial documents should ensure students' educational success. The self-assessment phase is the principle of the entire process, and it is fundamental to its success. The indicators are basic for the planning of educational institution. Well, the indicators are made available to the educational institutions and serve to provide elements of reflection in a self-assessment key for the lab. They include the following kinds of data: data processed and returned by INVALSI to the school on the basis of its answers to school questionnaire. The school have to complete the questionnaire from May to August every 3 years. Data taken from the administration itself, example university, and from the CD system, the education information system, is a reserved area where applications and related communication are available for school secretariats and central and peripheral administration offices. There are data relating to the school network, state educational institution, and non-state, data on the educational and teaching offer, study areas, students, staff, teaching and non-teaching staff, financial and accounting data. Data from statistical sources, ISTAT, Home Office, Ministry of the Economy, that serve to highlight the local, regional, and national references of the individual schools. Data from the results of standard surveys on learning levels carried out by INVALSI. They are linked to the results of schools in standardized tests and are expressed in numerous indicators. And at last possible, reservable data indicators proposed and processed by the school itself. I wrote a correct self-assessment analysis needs a model to strive for the educational effectiveness and its ultimate goal. The general factors of promotion that at school level influence students' achievement have been grouped by Scarens 2018 into performance, orientation and expectations, educational leadership, consensus and education among staff members, quality of the curriculum, learning opportunities, implement, evaluated potential, parental involvement, feedback and reinforcement. This study is only at school level and not classroom level for 2 reasons. Getting into the functioning of the class is more distracting, and action at the school level leads to faster improvements at the class level as well. Considering the external indicators priority, the limitation of the lab thus structured is the focus evaluation of these indicators and the difficulty of carrying out self-assessment and improvement projects. These processes require the investment of the entire organization. A shift of attention towards the schools, towards their specificity and ability to analyze processes is therefore necessary. The difficulties in implementing self-evaluation at the school level need to be found in the evaluation culture present in the schools, in the socialized model of teacher-professional interpretation in the relation between the school and the social stakeholders directly concerned. The indicators of the RAB cannot analyze the totality of the effectiveness factors and do not always succeed in promoting a collective self-diagnostic reflection in the school organization. Schools use them as a reference and work on ineffectiveness. They understand how to do better and self-evaluate themselves in order to be able to design paths of improvement. The sub-components into which the components constituting the general factors promoting effectiveness are divided can be analyzed through the indicator of the RAB and their relative indices. All the indicators of the RAB find a place in the factor of effectiveness, with the exception of a few indicators, for example 1.2.8.1 unemployment rate or immigration rate. These indicators must help the school in the analysis of the context and can be enriched by the analysis of the economic situation of the territory, using the territorial indicators for development policies present in the database of territorial indicators for development policies. The RAB indicators were not sufficient to analyze all the sub-components of the effectiveness factors. In particular, it wasn't possible to understand those related to leadership, school climate, evaluation potentia, parental involvement, and feedback and reinforcement. It's quite common for those aspects to remain unexplored and consequently not used for a proper and participative self-analysis. This is an example of the factor number 3 and consensus and cohesion among staff members. The second component, particular, and importance attached to cooperation, which is partly covered by an indicator for the RAB and partly by a question for the teacher questionnaire. The forms, together with a concise explanation of the project, were sent to 142 schools of Cosenza province. The schools are divided into 4 areas according to their grades. This population was chosen because of its specific negative results in the standardized tests and the lack of planning both at school and network level to integrate the RAB indicators, and because I knew the context in which I would operate. An initial email was sent by PEC, certified means, followed by a standard email, and after other email to communicate. Subsequently, the schools were contacted individually, asking to speak with, first of all, head teacher, instrumental function, head of the internal evaluation nucleus, and responsible for certification questions. After numerous phone calls, only 12 schools were not possible to contact. 30 schools decided to administrate the questionnaires. The main reason some schools did not participate was that they did not want further tasks, because they associated research with theory and not with operational tools that could be used. Schools attended where I was able to talk to the head teacher and explain the project to him well. The better way is almost to all to arrive at the head teacher. And 5 forms were constructed in order to avoid that and to help the schools to analyze all the factors. The questionnaires were developed with questions that cover the aspects that the RAB indicators failed to cover. In particular, the following were built. School had master questionnaire, 29 questions, teacher questionnaire, 33 questions, other staff questionnaire, 14 questions each, primary and secondary school students form, and high school students form, 6 16 questions each. The forms for and was 2 because they are only different in terminology, which is simplified in the case of the first circle. Parents form 18 questions. One or more questions in the form are linked to a sub-component not covered by an indicator of the RAB. The 5 questionnaires were used to add further elements of analysis for the self-assessment of schools. The schools, at the end of each school year, have teachers, other staff, students, and parents fill out the satisfaction self-assessment questionnaires, and in some cases also the bodies of associations with which they collaborate. The results of the questionnaires are then discussed in the end of the year meeting of the teacher board. The questionnaires do not follow a pattern that is the same for everyone or references, but each school independently develops one. In order not to give other tasks to the schools, the questionnaires were built with Google modulars, and that allowed them to be easily administered through the links and replaced the end-of-year satisfaction self-assessment questionnaires. This is a schedule of the project that is now still in progress. In the first phase, the questionnaires were sent and the schools contacted. Each school received a link for each questionnaire in order to allow the compilation on Google Forms. At the end of the school year, the answers were collected directly online and immediately sent by me to each school. The analysis was very demanding, even if not in depth, because each school received a file with information and how the questionnaires were constructed and which effectiveness factor they analyzed. In addition, the times were reduced because the schools wanted to use the data to share the results in the last Teachers Board meeting in 2021-22. Schools are now using the data, and I compiled documents for the new RAB. And this is the schedule, and after the schools administrate the questionnaires in place of the end-of-year satisfaction questionnaires, without any additional tasks. The forms, filled with mostly structured and closed questions, were sent to school from the end of April to the beginning of May. The third schools that agreed to administer the forms received the data from mid-June with a brief analysis accompanied by an outline of how the questionnaires have been constructed. All questions in all questionnaires received valid answers. The questionnaire tool via Google Forms allowed those interested to answer without difficulty. The questionnaires were completed by moreover 60% of teachers and by 30% of the other staff. In the secondary schools, students filled more questionnaires than parents, while the opposite was true in the primary school. And initial, sorry, this is okay. Okay. And initial data analysis showed that the head teachers devote most of the time to administrative managerial organizational activities, less to educational and pupil-related activities. It provides support to staff, dispensing information, influencing the internal setting. They consider self-assessment positively, but have difficulties in carrying out in their school. Head teachers are unable to devote the time they would like to improvement and planning activities, spending most of their time on administrative and bureaucratic tasks. The priority for schools is the well-being of pupils, followed by the quality of the teaching and a positive school environment. The school, more than the results of the pupil, cares that students are well in school, especially in our society where health problems are growing. 65% of the teachers did not attend any courses on the national system, 15% consider it a formality and cannot even comment on the design validity of their school's strategic documents. Strategic planning must involve all stakeholders, but in particular the teachers. The strategic documents are drawn up by the NIV and approvated by the teaching staff, which actually does not have the tools to understand the importance of this process. School organize activities and make shared decisions with the organizations, but collaboration rarely described as productive. Head teachers recognize the importance of collaboration, but are not always satisfied with the results. And at last, it is necessary for the school to always keep in mind the importance of the training agreement and the main compliance with it. Other results are that in Italy, passing to IT school, not only the results drop, but also the degree of student satisfaction. The electronic register is now a consolidated tool, even if not all functions are known and used equally by parents and schools. Informal relationships still resist, continuing to enjoy the formal ones. Some of the teachers continue to teach without taking into account the comparison with the colleagues and the situation of the students. And at last, teachers do not always finalize the teaching to pass a test by their students. For teachers to start itself, it is important, even if not made at passing the test. And other points are that the most gifted students are supported partly in the first cycle of education, very little in the second cycle. This confirms that, for example, the parents that check the register, register has become, especially after the pandemic situation, a communication tool widely used by parents. The teachers think that the projects are in line with the PTOF, but not everyone agrees on their usefulness. All stakeholders agree at the lack of funds and the presence of inadequate structures. Some schools shared results at the Teachers' Board meeting in 2021-22, and now some conclusion. It is necessary to provide the schools with the tools that give them the possibility to have indicators that cover all the subcomponents of the educational effectiveness factors. Involve all actors in the self-evaluation process. Promote shared and participative self-evaluation. The collected data could be used not only for educational purposes, but also as a policy tool support for the teacher evaluation, for teacher evaluation too. But it is important that this study wanted to give a support tool to schools and policies to understand what to improve without closing in on a sterile and harmful self-referentiality. Students, parents, and the school staff can express their opinions and indicate elements of reflection for continuous improvement. In addition to providing a new tool, there is a need to relieve head teachers of administrative and bureaucratic tasks. Teachers, on the other hand, need initial training on the national evaluation system. Students and the parents must be involved in the improvement process. The questionnaire could be modified and created by schools, but they must be able to provide indicators taking into account the effectiveness factors of the school. Thanks a lot.